A few months ago, I purchased the Karcher SC3 EasyFix steam cleaner with the intention of using it for car interiors. I actually got a really good deal on this model as I picked up a refurbished one from the Karcher outlet for just £110. So after having incorporated it into my detailing kit for a decent while now, I wanted to take you through how I use it, some pros and cons that I've noticed, and also why I purchased it over some of the other alternatives on the market. First, I'll just quickly take you through how to set it up, and it is really straightforward. The SC3 is the only model that comes with a descaler cartridge that just slots in at the front of the machine. The 1 litre water tank can then just be filled up by pouring the water into the slot where that cartridge is. Then it can be plugged in and switched on, and this machine just takes 30 seconds to actually heat up, which is the fastest in the entire Karcher steam cleaner lineup. Once it's had that time to heat up, I can then just flick the little switch on the nozzle to allow steam to flow through and then pull the trigger. At first there's usually a bit of water that comes out and then it will start to produce steam very quickly, usually within a few seconds. There are a few different lights actually on top of this machine. There's the one that just tells you that there's power to it, then there's also one with a little tap on the top and that just lights up red when the tank has run out of water. And then there also is a reset button and light underneath, and you can adjust this according to the water hardness in your area. It comes with several accessories, some of which I find more useful than others. So it comes with a floor attachment and microfiber cover, which isn't really something I've used. And it also comes with 2.5 metre extension poles, which just clip into each other. There is also a brush attachment, which has very stiff bristles, so I would be quite concerned about using it on a lot of surfaces. However, it also does come with a microfiber cover that you can put over the top, which makes it safe for more sensitive areas. There's also a smaller nozzle, which is great for getting into those tighter spaces. And again, a little brush attachment that goes on the end of that. The bristles are really stiff on this too, so again, I'm more careful about which areas that I use it on. It does have storage for all these accessories, so you can clip the smaller ones into the extension poles and then just slot those on the back. And then there also is a slot for that floor attachment. There isn't any storage for the 4 metre mains cable and 2 metre hose though, but they can just be wrapped around the machine after use and it does look relatively neat. So now onto the different uses on the interior of the car. So I've actually found it really helpful for cleaning fabric seats as well as the carpet and mats. To use this, I use that little brush attachment, the microfiber cover over the top to avoid damaging those surfaces. And I just run it over the seats until I'm happy that it's removed where I'm trying to. Then I can just use a microfiber towel to mop up any of the excess, and usually these surfaces are dry within about half an hour. The benefit of using a steam cleaner here, as opposed to using say a microfiber towel or brush with an interior cleaner, is that it offers a deeper clean and is more efficient and doesn't require as much manual effort. It also avoids the use of chemicals, so we're not clogging those fabrics with products that could potentially attract dust more quickly. This method is definitely faster than using an extractor and drill brushes, which you'll have seen me use previously. However, if the interior is very dirty, I don't think this method is going to give it a deep enough clean, and some method of extraction is really going to be important. I'm showing an example here of when I used the steam cleaner to remove a spillage of hand sanitizer that had dried rock hard, and although it did take about 5 minutes to actually remove this by using the steam cleaner to soften the residue and the microfiber towel to keep wiping it away, I really don't think I'd have been able to tackle this without using this particular machine. It's also great for harder surfaces and removing stubborn residues on plastics. I've also found it very useful for cleaning rubber mats and pedals. On both, I use a little brush attachment to agitate those surfaces, and it allows me to clean the pedals really quickly. And it's good on rubber mats when I don't already have my pressure washer out. This method is still able to give them a proper clean. It's also useful for blasting steam into tighter areas, so I can wipe away dirt and dust with a microfiber towel more easily. Some examples are on the seat runners and also on the door shuts as well. So what are the actual benefits of using a steam cleaner? Well, firstly, it avoids the use of chemicals. Now, while it is possible to steam probably an entire interior, depending on the surfaces that are in the car, without using any chemicals, I do think using a hybrid approach makes more sense to me. However, if you don't like spraying chemicals into the interior, then you'll really appreciate this kind of equipment, which leaves behind no residue whatsoever. The biggest benefit really is that it just makes the overall interior cleaning process more efficient, and it allows me to access tighter areas and give those areas a deeper clean while saving time and using less effort. There are certain times where a safe dilution of an interior cleaner just wouldn't be able to cut through dirt or residue without having a considerable dwell time, whereas the steam cleaner is really just able to kind of blast through it. There is also the argument that using a steam cleaner is antimicrobial. However, in practice, I don't really think it's as antimicrobial as people think. When you look at the manufacturer claims, it says that direct contact for 30 seconds results in that 99.99% reduction. However, that approach really risks damaging a lot of interior surfaces. So if you are looking for that kind of antimicrobial effect, I think choosing an interior cleaner which has those claims and letting it dwell for a couple of minutes before wiping it off is a better approach if you're targeting things like bacteria and mould. So I also wanted to take you through some pros and cons that I've noticed having used this steamer for the past few months. Firstly, the fact that it heats up in just 30 seconds I think is a massive advantage of this machine over other alternatives which seem to range from about 4 to 6 minutes. This Karcher SC3 also has continuous steaming, which means that you don't have to turn the machine off and let it cool down before you refill it again. If it runs out of water midway through me doing a cart, I simply pour some more into the tank and I'm ready to go instantly. I think the tank size of 1 litre is also pretty decent. If I'm just steam cleaning more specific areas on the car that require it, then there's no need to refill it halfway through. And if I am steaming most of the interior, I usually only find that I have to refill it once. And I also like that it is very small and compact. It's only about 3 kilograms, so moving it around isn't a problem at all, and it's easy to store away. There are, however, some negatives that I have noticed, and the first one that bugs me is the fact that the mains cable is only 4 meters. This means that I have to use an extension cable every time that I use it, which I'd really rather not be doing. Another thing I noticed is that when you haven't pulled the trigger in a few minutes, it will splutter quite a bit of water before it generates steam again, which isn't a massive issue, it's just something to keep in mind. So if I haven't used it in a few minutes, I just make sure to spray it outside of the car so I don't kind of soak any areas. And finally, very minor, but I do wish there was a place where you could store the mains cable, as there is with the more expensive SC4 model. I also did just want to touch on some of the alternatives that I considered and why I ultimately ended up choosing this SC3. I first settled on using one of the Karcher steam cleaners, as they're generally pretty affordable and came quite highly recommended by a lot of people that I spoke to. Once I'd narrowed that down, it was a choice between either the SC2, SC3 or SC4. The SC2 was ruled out almost instantly as this doesn't have continuous steaming, which means that you actually have to wait for the machine to cool down before refilling it. And I contacted Karcher about this to check, and they said that it's recommended to wait about 10 minutes before opening that safety valve and filling it back up again. That, combined with the fact that it takes 6.5 minutes to heat back up, is just something I couldn't be contending with, and it just wastes way too much time when I'd be doing a car interior. And at the time of me making my purchase, there was a refurbished model of this SC3 on the Karcher outlet for just £110, and there were no SC4 refurbished models available, and the new ones were going for about £250. Given that both have the same 3.5 bar max pressure and can be refilled during use, I thought that the addition of the larger tank on the SC4 just really wasn't worth that £140 price difference. However, if those two models were at a very similar price at the time of me purchasing, I probably would have just gone for the SC4, but having looked at the specs, I personally don't think there's a massive difference between them. If you are interested in some of the other interior equipment that I use, then I will pop a couple of links on screen to different videos. If you have enjoyed the video, it'd be great if you could drop it a like, and thanks for watching.